Good morning, everyone. This is Dr. Tomko. I hope you all enjoyed your weekend. And I wanted to send this to you today to clarify some of the things that all of you have been asking, all have been talking about, and my letter or my email that I sent you all this weekend with regard to remote learning. So I just wanted to kind of bundle everything up. So we had a brief conversation about where we are, what is occurring, and maybe I can answer some of your questions right now, but you could always reach out to us or reach out to me directly in my office if you have any direct questions at all. So, first, let me say this: everybody take a breath. Everybody understand that there's a lot of moving parts happening here every day. Every day, something's different. I promise you, once things change here regularly, as we get closer to the opening of school, I will keep you apprised of everything that's happening. So I know all of you want definite plans, and I know some superintendents across the state have done that. But as you're aware, the CDC just changed some guidelines again 2 days ago. So as this virus progresses, as this virus starts going away, as we get spikes here and there, as the governor makes executive orders, some of these things are going to change. They are not in my ability to stop or predict. And Belleville really has nothing to do, obviously, with the overall sense of some of these orders that are coming out. So we are really, as an administrative team, dodging a whole bunch of moving parts. So please, again, all of us, administrators, staff, faculty, parents, students, let's all just take a breath and work together on this. No one's hiding any information. We're trying to do the best we can. So as I discussed at our last board meeting last week, I talked about so far briefly what a typical day for a student will look like, and we are still setting that pace for the opening of school and what the hybrid schedule will look like. So I'm going to define all these in a minute, but as of right now, in-person schooling. So if your son or daughter comes back to school in what used to be a traditional setting, in order for us to maintain all of these social distancing guidelines and all the things that we need to keep everyone safe, we cannot have our buildings filled with the same number of students that we had. So we have to have a hybrid schedule. So right now what we plan to do is have approximately half the students come in on an A day and half the students come in on a B day. So that means that one day half our students will be in, and on another day the other half of the students will be in. If your child is not in person in school on that day, then they'll be doing virtual assignments at home. So again, that's what the hybrid mix is. Right now, a hybrid model will have your son or daughter in school for 2 days a week, and on the last day, on the off day, we are going to heavy clean the buildings. We need at least a full day. Now, I know a lot of districts, and some people are saying, oh, we're going to do that midweek. Right now, we're going to do this on a Friday, okay? Because I don't know how long it's going to take to wipe down every single part of these buildings, okay, with our team. So right now, we need at least, for the opening of school, Fridays to do that in case we need to go into Saturday and Sunday. So, again, this may change, but our schedule right now will be an A day, B day hybrid schedule with one day off, which will be Friday, as all virtual learning. Okay, so again, so it's probably most likely going to be Monday is A day, B day is Tuesday, A day is Wednesday, B day is Thursday. Okay, again, as we get closer to September, we will finalize those plans, but that's what you can plan on. So if you're coming back with in-person, former traditional type of learning, your child would be here 2 days a week. Now, what does that day look like? Well, that's going to have staggered start times and staggered dismissal times, because very, very easily to explain that, we need to socially distance the opening and closing of day as well, entrance and dismissals. Excuse me. So, again, most of those will be staggered 10, 15 minutes to allow for busing, etc. They will be single session days, which means that our minimum time is 4 hours, maybe a little longer than 4 hours, but somewhere around the 4 hour mark. I think elementary will be a little bit longer. And we're going to have grab and go breakfast and lunch. Grab and go breakfast and lunch. Okay, so that means that we cannot right now, at this point, maintain socially distancing in our gymnasiums and in our cafetoriums and our cafeterias. So right now everything's going to be grab and go. All right, so we're also looking for special populations of students. If your child is one of those children may be here 4 or possibly 5 days a week. That's possible, because those are smaller populations, and they need some different types of settings for educational and academic success. So we're working on that, but you'll work with your directors and your supervisors in those areas, okay? So again, this is something that has changed a few times already, but our overall framework has still been the same. This is where we're headed if you are going to have your child come back to school in the former traditional setting, which now will be a hybrid. Now, this can change in a few months. Our goal is to get back to pre-COVID times, traditional learning. That's our goal. All right, we just cannot do that right now. It's just not. It's not feasible with all of the regulations, because again, this disease, this virus, is real. It's real. So again, those are the parameters of attendance right now, of what that's going to look like. Will that change a little bit? I'm sure it will. We will keep you updated, but that's where we're at. And in 2 weeks, we will have a finalized plan that we have to submit to the. I have to submit to the board and the county, and all of you can review. I suggest that right now, if you want to see some of these updates as they come and see what's happening, we're in live time portals with our committees for our task force. All you have to do is go on our website and go into that portal, our task force portal, and you can see a lot of these committee updates. You can see how we're working every day. We're right now, as I'm making this video, there's committee meetings happening on different areas. There's about 10 or 11 different major areas that we're going to have to really pinpoint on some protocols and procedures. Face masks or face coverings. Students are going to be required to wear face coverings if they cannot socially distance. So that means that as we will be socially distancing in classrooms, face masks will not be on students, or not be required on students when they are sitting down socially distanced. However, coming into a building, traveling in a building, traveling to the restrooms or wherever your child is going, face masks will be required. I don't want to really get into the negativity of that, meaning like what will be the penalty or whatnot, or the consequence if my child doesn't wear a face mask, because I'm hoping that we are all working together on this, knowing that, again, we want to keep everyone safe, including our faculty and staff, as well as other students, as well as visitors, etc. So we need to ensure that happens, all right? On the entrance to school every day, your child will also be have to take his or her temperature to make sure it meets a correct standard, which right now is 100.4, but again, that may change tomorrow. Who knows? It could change the next hour, right? So we are asking that every day. At home, though, if you can, we would like you to take your child's temperature before he or she comes to school. And we'd also will be requiring you to go through a symptoms or symptomatic check with your child every day prior to school as well. But there's more information coming soon on that. All right. So again, all trying to work together, knowing that this is still just a temporary thing to try to get back to some sense of normalcy. And it's not going to be very easy coming up, and our children are going to be very nervous, very unaware of what's going to happen. These are still scary times for everybody, including our children, and our children seem to hide it better than we do. And them being with you all this time and now coming back to school is going to be a little bit concerning for all of us as well. So our counselors will be on hand. I know the first day of school, everybody's going to be nervous, but we're going to have traffic flow. So please just know that I would never put anyone in harm's way here. We're going to do everything we can to keep everyone socially distanced, to keep everybody safe, as long as we have your cooperation. But please, again, all of us need to just kind of take a step back, knowing that as we see society changing every day, you could imagine what we are going through here in our school districts, because everybody does want to get this, wants to get this back, get everyone back to some sense of normalcy, and it really starts with schools, right? But right now we're still having a difficult time doing that. I'm not going to lie, because your next question to me is going to be, well, how do I know if my son or my daughter is going to be A day or B day? Well, we're not even there yet, so we're working on it, and that comes into the decree last week that the governor is now permitting parents to have a remote option, which was totally brand new to us just last week. So that throws another wrench into the mix. And this is what I sent you this weekend, and we still have it. We have a number of parents that have already said yes to remote learning, and the best way here in Belleville that we can do that is we've established a remote school, which will be school number 1, where your child will now be transferred into school 1 for remote learning purposes, right? So let me define the 4 models that we are all talking about, right? You may hear different superintendents, different districts, your friends in different towns, whatever it is. The first model is a traditional model. Traditional model is a very simple definition. It's where we were pre-COVID times, okay? So as you used to drop your son or daughter off, or they would take the bus, and they would go from Class A to Class B to Class C throughout the whole day. They would go to lunch, etc. That's traditional. That is our goal, to one day, which we will, be traditional again, okay? Second is a hybrid model. Now, these definitions here are Belleville-related definitions, okay? So people may call them different things. Personally, good for them. I'm worried about Belleville, right? Okay, so hybrid model for us is the A-day, B-day model with 4 days a week instruction as of right now. And right now, that day of virtual learning will be on Friday, okay, on Friday. So that's the hybrid model. Remote learning is the new process that was just put in place this week, which means that your child will be home learning from remote modes, meaning that we will have teachers that are performing asynchronous and synchronous instruction. Synchronous meaning live time meetings, and asynchronous basically meaning that your child will be working sometimes independently at home. Full schedule, a full load of teachers, different principal. Again, this is an option now that was just a week ago, so we are now in the process of appointing a principal, a temporary principal. We are in the process of working out all the kinks, but I can tell you this. If you choose to start in a remote environment for your child, and then at some point want to transfer your son or daughter back into the regular hybrid day, that will be a 3-week waiting period. Okay, so it's a 3-week transition period. So if you told me today, I want my child to go back to school 12, blah, 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 it will take us 3 weeks to transition that child back. And that's only because right now we'll have these schedules built on social distancing parameters, and we can't have an influx of students every day just going back in. So you could see how this new edict from the governor doesn't make things easier, all right? So it makes it a little bit more difficult administratively. So we're going to need that lead time. So again, it's the best I can do, but 3 weeks would be the lead time. So just understand that. That won't be detrimental to your child. However, there will be a waiting period. If you're in a hybrid model and you're like, we think we need remote right now, we're not comfortable, that's an easy mix. That's a 1 day pullout kind of thing. Okay, so if you start hybrid and want to go out remotely, that's an easier transition. That's a 1 day transition. All right, because again, our main goal is I'm confident that we can definitely provide remote instruction, but having students come back into a socially distanced environment that's already established is not going to be easy. I'm sure you can imagine that. Okay, and then finally, our virtual model. Okay, virtual model is at-home lessons instruction. Some of it is asynchronous, some of it is synchronous. Okay, it's back and forth. But right now, it will only be provided on a Friday. The virtual model comes mainly into effect if we do open up and then have to close again. All right, and students will go into this virtual learning environment, sort of like we had last year. Okay, but now we will have more protocols in place. We will have more distinct schedules for teacher meetings, etc. Okay. However, the virtual environment is only basically now set up on a temporary basis, whereas the remote learning piece is basically like an online school. All right, so it's a little different. It's a little different. If we do happen to have to close down or shut down a building or whatever, and those students have to go virtual, those students will go into a virtual platform with their teachers, etc., like at School 12, and the remote students will still be in School 1. All right, so let's make that very clear. Remote learning is when you are deciding now that you are going to have your child remotely learn in a completely different environment. Okay, it's a completely different environment right now, where everything will be based on an online model. If you want to look into some of that, there are great resources online about colleges. There are online colleges. And I have to tell you that some of those programs now, not when they first started, but some of the programs now are more rigorous than traditional programs face-to-face, because there's a lot more research and a lot more in-depth learning. And our promise is that our teachers now will be able to hold online meetings in a scheduled time. So, for example, if your son or daughter is home working remotely, they'll have a 9 o'clock math class, right, that they'll have to log into. So again, there's a little bit more oversight on your part at home for that. You can't expect a teacher to make sure your child logs on. So there's a little bit of oversight there with you on that remote learning piece. Again, those are just some of the definitions of the models, and I know some of you are confused. So if you have any questions, please contact me or email at superintendent@bellevilleschools.org. Or you can contact me, extension 1022. We're trying to get back to everybody as soon as possible. Again, there's a lot of moving parts, so we're trying to get you information as quick as possible, okay, as quickly as possible. I will say this, high school students, it's a little bit different because there's a lot of electives. Most of our electives will be in a virtual environment. All right, that's the only way we could fit things in. We may have some special classes, special academy classes, AP classes, we're not sure yet, that may meet in cohorts at certain times. And also, there is a possibility that most of our senior classes will be virtual as well, because our seniors are only required really to take 2 classes their senior year, although they're allowed to have more. So it's really all, again, that building's very large along with the middle school, so we're having some issues making sure we're socially distanced there. But right now, everything is on track to open. As long as everything stays clear on the governor's end, we are in contact with our faculty and staff. They are working with us on personal protective equipment, what they need, etc. So we're confident that we are all basically going to be able to open up in early September. However, it's going to be very interesting the next few weeks, okay? So please, any questions at all, reach out to me, all right? If you don't feel comfortable speaking to me, then reach out to your building principal, reach out to somebody so we can get those answers for you. I think that, again, communication is key, and we're going to try to keep you updated as best as possible. The easiest thing to do is to look at those task force documents that we are uploading constantly online and on the website. All right, so we're going to keep you posted. Again, more information to come, especially in 2 weeks. I know there was a lot right now, but let's all just know that we're all working together. We all want what's best for our children. We are going to follow and go beyond all the CDC guidelines. We're going to need your help in knowing your child, knowing that, if he or she doesn't feel well, they really can't come to school. They just can't right now. If you're not comfortable sending your child here, or if you're like, what, I don't know if I'm ready yet to have him or her exposed to everything, then that remote option is there for you. And my promise to you is that will be a very viable option for an academic presence, and we'll get some social barriers down there as well. We'll do some chat rooms, etc. But I think that you do have some options there. Okay. So again, reach out if you need me. Please stay safe. wear your masks outside. I know some people aren't doing that, but again, it just makes sense. We had a fantastic 3 graduation ceremonies. We were so glad that we were able to do that for a remarkable class, the class of 2020. We know moving forward now, the class of 2021 and beyond, we need to get back to this sense of normalcy, the sense of what we are in Belleville. And again, we can only do that together. All right. So I will keep you posted. Stay updated. Visit the website, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you very much. Stay safe.